bombshell piece of reporting from the Wall Street Journal has Donald Trump spending day 179 of his second presidential term denying to the American people and the world that he wrote a birthday card and illustration to a dead and disgraced sex trafficker. That note, if indeed written by Donald Trump, could add new depth and texture to our understanding of the common interests that may have united Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein during their years-long friendship. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Jeffrey Epstein's disgraced associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, decided to put together a leather-bound book of letters and notes from associates to give to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday in 2003. The Wall Street Journal reports that these letters or documents were among those examined by Justice Department officials who investigated Epstein and Maxwell years ago. That's according to people who have reviewed the pages. From that report, quote, "The letter bearing Trump's name, which was reviewed by the Journal, is bawdy, like others in the album. It contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to have been hand-drawn with a heavy marker. A pair of small arcs denotes the woman's breasts, and the future president's signature is a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. It isn't clear how the letter with Trump's signature was prepared. Inside the outline of the naked woman was a typewritten note styled as an imaginary conversation between Trump and Epstein, written in the third person. The card reads, quote, voiceover. There must be more to life than having everything, the note began. Donald, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Donald, the pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Let that sink in. Prior to publishing this report, this story, the Wall Street Journal spoke with the president. Trump denied writing the letter or drawing the picture. That denial reads, quote, this is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story, he said. Quote, I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women, he said. It's not my language. It's not my words. Now, we'll stop here for a second and just importantly, as an editorial note, point out that Donald Trump does like to draw. The Hill reports that one of his sketches drew nearly $30,000 at an auction in the year 2017. The Justice Department did not respond to the Wall Street Journal, and the FBI also declined to comment to the Wall Street Journal. The White House has made trying to discredit this Wall Street Journal piece of reporting its top priority. Vice President J.D. Vance posted on X that the story was bull bleep. Donald Trump is now threatening to sue the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and its owner, Rupert Murdoch. Trump late last night directed the Justice Department to release, quote, all pertinent grand jury testimony in the sex trafficking case against Jeffrey Epstein. But releasing grand jury testimony may do little to quell the crisis Donald Trump faces right now, given the agitation from his base and the bipartisan calls now to release all the files, as well as mounting questions about the Justice Department and FBI's handling of the case. In a letter to the Justice Department, ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Dick Durbin, FBI agents assigned to review the Epstein files were told to, quote, flag any documents that mention Donald Trump. Donald Trump is now facing a story he can't kill, and it's where we start today. Washington Post Justice Department reporter Perry Stein is with us. Also joining us, host of the Bulwark podcast, MSNBC political analyst Tim Miller is back with us. And the president of Media Matters for America, Angelo Carasone, is here. Tim, you and I have worked on campaigns and worked for politicians. I don't even know if this is true in your case, but I've worked for politicians where the campaign is rocked by a piece of reporting. For George W. Bush, it was some of the reporting about his time in the Texas Air National Guard. I wasn't on the George W. Bush campaign, but there was also a moment for him where his campaign was rocked by a report about a DUI right before the election in 2000. Donald Trump was in some ways rocked by the Access Hollywood tape, but it was a different moment in his political life, and it was a different kind of issue. It was something that he survived politically. This is so different in that the journalism is following the outroar from the base, not trying to lead it. The journalism didn't come first. The outroar from his base came first. And I'm really not sure if that's a good or a bad thing for journalism, but it makes the political scandal for Trump different.
Yeah, it does. And look, what I think about in these sort of situations, Nicole, something that, from back in my PR days, that it is reminiscent of, right, is when, your candidate steps in it, says something maybe they shouldn't have. We don't need to pile on the bushes. So I could come up with a couple Jeb examples. We don't need to do it. But what happens is the story gets out of your control, right? Because something that like journalists weren't really looking into, or had quit looking into, or had moved on from, there becomes a feeding frenzy around it. And I think this is what has happened with Donald Trump. And so when you hear Trump and his people push back and say, well, look, I mean, if this was real, this letter was real, Biden would have released it, or the Wall Street Journal would have written about it years ago, or whatever. That's just kind of like not how these things work, right? And when Donald Trump made this critical mistake, this self-own of, we assume it was Donald Trump, I guess it was Pam Bondi that put her name on it, deciding that they were going to announce that they were not going to release or look into the Epstein files anymore. The result was this fervor, as you mentioned, from his own base. And then the result from that is a lot of journalists, I think, naturally looking at this and saying, wait.
Washington, D.C., July 19th, 2025. A bombshell report from the Wall Street Journal has thrust President Donald Trump into a political firestorm just 179 days into his second term, as allegations surface that he penned a suggestive letter to disgraced financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday in 2003. The report, which details a letter allegedly bearing Trump's signature and a hand-drawn outline of a naked woman, has intensified scrutiny of his past relationship with Epstein, sparking outrage among his supporters, bipartisan calls for transparency, and threats of legal action against the newspaper and its owner, Rupert Murdoch. The controversy, coupled with the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein case, has deepened divisions within his base and raised questions about the Justice Department's management of related files. According to the Wall Street Journal, the letter was part of a leather-bound album compiled by Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's associate, who was convicted in 2022 of child sex trafficking. The album, reviewed by Justice Department officials during investigations into Epstein and Maxwell, contained letters from various associates, including Trump, former Victoria's Secret CEO Les Wexner, and attorney Alan Dershowitz. The letter attributed to Trump is described as bawdy, featuring typewritten text framed by a drawing of a naked woman, with small arcs denoting breasts and a squiggly Donald signature positioned to mimic pubic hair. The text, styled as an imaginary third-person conversation between Trump and Epstein, includes lines like, voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything, followed by Trump saying, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is, and Epstein responding, nor will I, since I also know what it is. The dialogue concludes with, Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey, and a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. The provocative nature of the letter, if authentic, suggests a deeper camaraderie between Trump and Epstein, who were known to socialize in the 1990s and early 2000s, including at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Trump vehemently denied writing the letter or creating the drawing, telling the Wall Street Journal, this is not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story. I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women. It's not my language. It's not my words. He claimed the newspaper was warned not to publish the story, threatening to sue the Wall Street Journal, its parent company News Corp, and Murdoch personally, calling the outlet a pile of garbage newspaper. In a Truth Social post, Trump reiterated, the Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch personally were warned directly by President Donald J. Trump that the supposed letter was a fake and, if they print it, they will be sued. He has since filed a libel lawsuit in Florida against Murdoch, News Corp, Dow Jones, and the journalists behind the story. The White House's aggressive response, including attempts to pressure the Journal not to publish, underscores the administration's concern over the story's impact. The controversy comes amid heightened tensions over the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein case. During his campaign, Trump promised to release FBI files related to Epstein, who died by suicide in a Manhattan jail in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. However, the Justice Department, led by Attorney General Pam Bondi, recently concluded that no further documents would be released, stating there was no evidence of a client list or foul play in Epstein's death. This decision infuriated Trump's MAGA base, who have long believed in conspiracy theories about a cover-up involving powerful figures. Bondi's earlier promises to release files, including a February photo op with influencers holding Phase 1 binders of largely public documents, fueled expectations that were later unmet, leading to accusations of mismanagement. In response to the Journal's report, Trump directed Bondi to seek court approval to release any and all pertinent grand jury testimony in the Epstein case, a move legal experts note is unlikely to succeed due to the secrecy of such records. Bondi affirmed her readiness to comply, but the process could take time. Meanwhile, Senator Dick Durbin, ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, criticized the Justice Department's review of Epstein files, alleging FBI agents were pressured to flag documents mentioning Trump during a rushed 2-week review of 100,000 files. This has intensified bipartisan calls, including from 83% of Trump's 2024 supporters per an Economist/YouGov poll, to release all Epstein-related materials. The political fallout is significant. Trump's base, already agitated by the administration's refusal to release more files, is split. Allies like Vice President J.D. Vance and far-right activist Laura Loomer dismiss the letter as fake, with Vance calling it complete and utter bullshit on X, and Loomer noting Trump's preference for handwritten notes over typed letters. However, others, including comedian Shane Gillis, have publicly mocked Trump, reflecting cracks in his support among the broader manosphere that aligns with conspiracy-driven narratives. Political analyst Tim Miller, speaking on MSNBC, suggested Trump misjudged his base's investment in Epstein conspiracies, noting that figures like Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, steeped in these theories, amplified expectations Trump couldn't meet. Miller argued Trump's casual engagement with Epstein, unlike his visceral connection to issues like immigration, left him vulnerable to this scandal. The Wall Street Journal's decision to publish, despite not providing a copy of the letter, has been praised by its staff as brave, though critics question its authenticity without visual evidence.